tell you about
Yeah,
HealthBox?
tell us about HealthBox, just briefly.
So HealthBox is, and I'll probably get this wrong, right? But it's a pretty neat concept. It's basically, there's an organization called Sandbox out of Silicon Valley, and they were contracted by the Blue Systems to create this incubator. And they have classes that are run anywhere from 6 to 10 companies every 4 to 6 months. And they've started them in Silicon Valley, in Chicago, in Nashville. They just did a class in Jacksonville, and probably there's a few other locations that I'm missing. And so what they do is they recruit really innovative startups in the healthcare industry, and they go through a selection process. I think you had 80 people apply last time. Was it 80? And they pick 7, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And they run them through a whole incubator, and they basically open up the network and get a bunch of really smart people looking at these ideas, and they nurture them along. And in fact, one of them just got bought. It was you were all, didn't it? Who's the company you invested in that just got bought? It started with an A? I don't know. Different company.
That wasn't HealthBox.
Yeah, I wasn't HealthBox,
No.
but they're investing in, but Florida Blue is investing in startups, and so I think that's the type of activity. We need our companies in Tampa Bay investing in our startup community, because I think now I'm looking for Stephanie. Is she still here? No, did Stephanie step out?
I think so.
Darn. Well, I've told her this, but she works with EDC. I think our fundamental economic development strategy should be investing in innovation and entrepreneurs for the entire Tampa Bay region.
And the Hillsborough EDI2 program that
Yeah.
Stephanie is with is doing a lot of that now, championing entrepreneurship. If you're not aware, Hillsborough County set aside $2 million to help fund startup companies, but also events and programs like this that help give voice to startups and people who are behind them, new ideas. So once you get this thing launched, is that sort of the lost hurrah, or do you see yourself 20 years from now going off into some wild blue yonder, into another experience? Or
I enjoy what I do. I actually I retired when I moved here for about 3 years, and kind of retired. I became an angel investor and also a real estate investor, and neither of those worked out very well.
Well, you brought up about Florida Blue supporting the startups through HealthBox. One of the things that was brought up earlier, was that this community in the Tampa Bay region doesn't have the same kind of culture that Silicon Valley, Atlanta, New York City might have in terms of big companies supporting startups and supporting small companies. What, besides a champion like a Florida Blue that's out there, how do we change that culture? What needs to be different?
Well, I think first of all, we need to create a more formalized process where we as entrepreneurs, through organizations like the WAVE or the Tampa Bay Innovation Center or TIE, reach out to our businesses and bring them in to talk about the type of stuff we're doing. I'll put a plug in for Linda Olson. I think she left too, but we're doing I'm on the board of the WAVE. They're doing a startup surge event this Friday. It's a showcase, and we're bringing in a bunch of leaders business leaders into the WAVE and showing off these companies. I also think that we ought to create events like a switch pitch type thing, where big companies talk about their problems and say, hey, I'm looking for a technology to solve X, Y, Z. My HR system's all messed up. I want something cheap to put it on iPads, and get somebody, get an entrepreneur to respond to those types of things. So, because I think it all starts with a problem, and I think if we got a bunch of software entrepreneurs and whatever devices entrepreneurs that can do that type of stuff, then I think our entrepreneurial community will be better off. And the third thing I think is we as entrepreneurs, we need to be better prepared when we pitch our ideas and when we present them, because my experience is that most entrepreneurs that I've helped coach and stuff like that, they think they're a lot further along than they really are. Did anybody go to the Pitch 6 contest that Bright House did? Yeah. A couple comments. So we had about 35 startups apply for the Pitch 6, and it's a Shark Tank event, which Bright House sponsored. And afterwards, a lot of these startups came, and I thought the pitches were pretty good at the event, but the ones that thought, they were asking me, well, why didn't I get selected? And then they watched the pitches of these other companies, and they're like, whoa, these guys are really good, and I got to up my game. And so I think, you as an entrepreneur, go to some of these events and look at what other people are doing. I was so impressed with the number of people that the companies that presented it for the Regional Business Awards, which was Pitch Six was part of, that we have got a lot of good companies here right now, and I think startups need to look at some of these other companies and how prepared and how evolved their business plans are.
Mm-hmm. And the other area that you had brought up earlier was that this area lacks a funding mechanism for the companies that have sort of reached the first stage and need to go on to that second stage.
Yes.
And Florida Funders group just launched today.
Yes. Let's hear it for Dave Tesauer. Thank you, Dave.
How do we turn that corner? How do we get more Daves, more Florida Funders?
Well, I think the world is governed by fear and greed, and we're still suffering from an overhang, probably that's over the last 15 years. What ended up happening, and I'm hearing this more secondhand, but because I wasn't living here in 2000, but the Tampa Bay kind of jumped on the .com bandwagon, 99, 2000 timeframe. There was a lot of people, old money, that were citrus investors, land, real estate developers, tourism type money, a lot of, that real estate money. So, they said, hey, this thing's for real, we're going to go invest. And they probably picked the worst date to invest in startups. And I think across the board, with the exception of TradeX, which was a Tampa Bay success company, pretty much everybody lost money. There might have been a couple other winners here, but so that, and startup is a game where when you invest in startups, I learned this firsthand, you can't dip your toe in the water because it's a law of large numbers as an investor. When you look at 4 out of 5 startups don't really return your money, you're looking for that 1 out of 5 that you make up the money for all the rest. It really implies that you got to have some volume. You got to do. And as an angel investor, you don't have time to be investing in 10 startups. It's just, it's not physically possible. So having groups like TIE that do vetting and stuff like that is really the only way to do it. And it's hard to get that cumulative group of people together when everybody's like, last time I did this, I lost all my money. I'm not doing it anymore. So, basically what we have to do is, and I think we are turning the corner, is there's a lot of successful businesses in the last 10 years that entrepreneurs sell their businesses. I've actually done a couple angel investments since I sold televisions, and putting money back into the startup community from people that are willing to do that and are more forward thinking as well.
Are you able to tell us more about the angel investments that you've made? In what and why?
Why? Well, I got an investment in Carvoyant. You guys probably, some of you know that money. It's an Internet of Things type business. I think it's a thematic. I think I'll go back to the thematic event. I look at things on a macro sense, where the internet, and I got lucky with the internet on the first time, but I think we're in the third phase of the internet. So the first phase was all about your home page. Remember that? And everybody go, what's your home page? You got a home page? I got a home page. Here's my home page. Go to my URL, www.lycos.com/Swanson. But it was all about going for information, and companies would put their information up, and everybody did that. And the big problem that was solved in there is how to find it. And what company really emerged from that was Google. I mean, that's the great winner out of that era. And then we became a two-way communication mechanism where now everybody, I saw what you did on Facebook. So Facebook's the big thing on that. But now we're entering a phase where all these devices and things are going to be on the internet, and now it's supposed to be like 50 times the amount of addressable devices or things that are going to be on the internet. So all those things are going to connect up, and so that's a theme that I think I think it's going to be bigger than the first and second wave combined. When all our devices become intelligent and everything like that. So I think the connected car is a good theme. The other is a company called MyID Key, and it's basically it's a little device you put in your pocket, but it's all your keys for all your websites, your house. It will log, open your car doors. It'll open your house. It'll turn on your lights. It's instead of having to carry all your keys anymore, everything becomes digital. So that's a startup that is requiring more funding than I like right now.